break, get your brains on, 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 come on, get your brains on. Brains break, get your brains on, get your brains on, come on, get your brains on, get your brains on, break, get your brains on, get your brains on, come on, get your brains on. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Hello, happy Thursday. All right, I know you guys not used to us doing a live on a Thursday, but I have a very special guest that's going to be with us today, and I could not pass up the opportunity to speak with her. She's very busy, so I wanted to take this time just to say thank you to my girl in advance. She is amazing. She is doing big things. I call her the queen of radio, the queen of poetry. We just gonna call her the queen of everything. She is a mom that son is doing amazing things as well. So since she had some free time, we wanted to squeeze her in. So I'm calling this my Lanyap Live. And if you're from Louisiana, you guys know what lanyap means. It means a little extra. So this is just our extra live. So I want to just thank you guys in advance. I'm about to bring her on. So I want you to show her some love. Corinna Delgado. Come on, show my...
Hey!
What's up, honey?
Hey, sis, how are you?
Oh, man, you look so... as usual. So hats off to you.
Hats on today. Hats are on today. Look at
I know it is raining here in Houston, and I was like, my hair's not done. My appointment is until tomorrow. So I was like, sis, we doing hats.
I love that. It's snowing here in DC. So.
Oh, wow. So you working from home?
No. I'm here in the studio, as you can see. So I've been going into the studio every single day of the pandemic. I've never left. So
wow. I know that's what you be doing.
Yeah.
You be doing some things. All right. So I want to just dive right in. I want to first just congratulate you on, man, what you've been doing. Tell us a little bit about just your journey. We know that you now are part of 94.7 FM, The Drive. Tell us a little bit about what that is.
So, of course, as you'll recall, so when I was there in Houston, I was on 104.1 KRBE, which is will always and forever be radio family to me. I absolutely love them, and I will always love H-Town. Like Houston is in my heart forever.
Forever.
I think not only because Houston is so amazing, but after Hurricane Harvey, it's kind of like those things, like those relationships that are forged through fire. They're just with you always.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, you mentioned Louisiana. Were you there for Katrina?
Yes, I was still living there. But we kind of got a lot of the rain. We didn't get hit as hard as the people in New Orleans did. But whenever it happened, a lot of those the families from New Orleans came to Louisiana, to Lafayette, and kind of stayed because it's a lot of people was displaced. So we got to meet some people and house people and love on people from New Orleans. So yeah.
Well, so I left Houston for a radio opportunity in DC with a sister station in DC, and let me tell you, when I got here, it was the dream. I was working for a radio station, WRQX Mix 107.3, and then that station got sold. And then I was just out here like, what am I gonna
do? Right. What's next?
Right. And so it was crazy because how can I explain this? So it happened, and they were like, okay, and everybody's out of a job in 90 days. And I just thought to myself, like, all these doors open. God did not bring me this far to drop me off in DC. And I just had this sense of peace about it and just this unshakable faith,
Wow. Come on, girl.
Boom, this door opened to do mornings on 94.7 The Drive. And then as soon as I got that, a sister station for the company in Baltimore, they were like, oh, well, we want you to do the midday show for Baltimore, which is only 45 minutes.
Come on, girl.
So I did that, and then I picked up another station. So I'm actually still on in Texas, but in Corpus Christi. So I got that show out there as well.
Hats off to you, my dear. I know you're doing some things. So I have a couple. I want to talk about, and you're an author. So when I think about you and when I see you, you know, I thought that I have a lot of hats. I thought that Alicia Faye Wilson be doing some things, just moving around. But you are.
Oh my God. How I can't even catch up.
No. Well, I'm trying to catch up with you. But now here's the deal. Now tell us, now you're an author. You have added being an author to your whole resume, girl. Go queen.
Oh, thank you.
I celebrate you and I salute you. Tell us a little bit about your book and just how that even happened. The Origami Girl.
Oh yeah. So Origami Girl is actually, so that's my fourth book. And I did, so I have, my first book was Icarus, A Lesson in Flying. The second book is The Ink Seed, which is the first book, poetry. Second book was a writer, it's a writer's workbook. So essentially what I used to do in Alaska is I would do writers' workshops inside correctional facilities.
Oh, wow.
And then I've also gone to Folsom Prison in California twice to do this writer's workshop. So I decided to make it a workbook so that it could be accessible, you know, whether I showed up to do the workshop or not, because I wanted to get this workshop into people's hands inside correctional facilities to help reduce recidivism and that return rate. So Girl. I was doing that. And then I have like Scissors to Samson was my second poetry collection, or third book, second poetry collection. And then this most recent one is The Origami Girl, which, you know, I released that in Houston. And it's just a continuation of poetry and prose. And, you know, I just write my experience as I go. For me, I love to do poetry, but for people that are more like fictional writers or storytellers, I really admire playwrights or screenwriters because they can tell stories from multiple perspectives. And for me with poetry, I just write what I know. You know what I mean? Wow. As a broadcaster and as a journalist. So this is my 20th year as a broadcaster. And I just, I'm a reporter in my core. And as a reporter, as a journalist, it's my core value to tell my truth as I see it, because that's kind of like the reporter in me. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to the poetry, I just write what I know for sure, you know.
And you know what? I remember when I first met you, my husband introduced me to you, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this poetry night." And when I heard you speak, oh,
thank you.
I was like, what? It was like I cried, because it was like you took us through this emotional roller coaster. Like it was so deep, and you could feel it. Like you were talking. It was about domestic violence. Remember that? It was like all the ladies were talking about their truth about domestic violence, but put it into a poetry form. And I had never in my life heard or seen anything like that. It was very, it was emotional, but it was amazing at the same time. And so I know firsthand how you just tell your truth through poetry, and it is really fascinating. Now I want to switch gears really quick, because I know you're always on the opposite side doing all like interviewing people.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, I know, let's talk a little bit. I want to talk about your son.
Oh, yeah, I could talk all day about
honey, not that only you are an amazing mom, amazing woman doing a lot of things, wearing many hats. You have a son, Nino, who is doing some, honey, tell us a little bit about, he's now a pro boxer, right?
He's a professional boxer, and he is undefeated.
undefeated. I know I watched a couple of his clips warming up, because when you follow people, you'll get the notifications. He is doing some amazing, man. He's knocking people out.
Yes,
He's not, I'm telling
yes,
you,
yes.
he's knocking people out. But so I thought that was fascinating. So how is it being the mother of a professional boxer who is undefeated? How is that for your dating life?
Oh, for my date.
Don't mess with me, honey. My son knocks people out.
Well, it's not really a problem because I'm single. So I'm always joking on air right now that this is the 8th annual Singles Awareness Day. So I mean, but our relationship is so loving, myself and my son. It's hard because he's my person,
Yeah.
but I'm not his person. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes sense. Now, how that work?
Yeah. And so I kind of have to have a hold on, like I can't hold on. I have to have an open hand. And it's like he comes and goes, as his heart sees fit.
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
hold on loosely because he's my person, but I'm not his person. He's engaged. He has a lovely bride to be, and we love her so much.
Wow, that's good.
We are so blessed that he has this wonderful woman in his life, and that's his best friend. So I just step back because I want that I'm always welcome in that in that circle. But yeah, it's not an issue as far as dating is concerned.
Well, congratulations on your new, because now you're gaining a daughter. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be fun, right?
Oh
And
I'm so
I love it. And usually, a lot of times you hear moms say, like when their son starts dating, were you that mom that's like, who is she? Like, were you like Facebook stalking her page, like trying to learn all the backs? Oh no, okay, good. Because some moms, because he's your only child, your only son.
He's my only child. He's my only son. And a lot of people were worried about that because I'm so connected to him.
Yeah.
And so he's everything in my life. He's my heir. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people were worried. I think, when he found somebody that I was going to be lost or too involved or something like that. But I'm really grateful because just a little bit of a overshare and a personal backstory. My dad was an only child as well. And so for our culture, my father and my grandmother, they're Japanese. So they've hold on to that firstborn son very closely. And then they have multi-generational living. And then the daughters are married out and the sons marry in. Well, in my grandmother and father's relationship, my grandmother held on very, very tight. And he lived with her his whole life until the day that he died. And I saw how that affected their relationship. And because I was, I had the blessing of seeing that play out in front of me my whole life, having an only son, I knew that I had something to compare it to. And I was like, this is what I don't want. And so, when he told me that he loves somebody, I really just kind of welcomed her in and questioned her because I was like, is she funny?
Oh, I love that.
She's really funny.
I love that. So I know that you love Drake, honey.
Oh yes, that's my future husband. That's why I'm still single.
I know that you love you some Drake, honey. I have a question because Valentine's Day is on Sunday.
Do you know Drake?
Huh?
Do you know him? Are you setting up on a date?
Well, girl, I don't know. I might have to have my people contact your people. But I know you love Drake, so I'm gonna tag Drake into this post, honey. But yeah, I got you, girl. I got you. But I wanted to ask if you could have a dream date besides Drake, because we know you love Drake. We know that. But if you could have a dream date on Valentine's Day with any man, who would it be?
Oh.
He doesn't have to be famous, just anybody.
Oh, well, I don't think it would be I can have a dream date in mind, like how I would want it to go, but I don't know who would be sitting across from me. But if I could spend it the way that I want it,
Uh-huh.
like I'm so tired, like because I work a million jobs, right? I would want to spend the whole day in bed. This is very easy though. Like I would want to spend the whole day in bed watching Westerns. I love so I think that's not hard to accommodate.
That's easy. You can do that on a day all by yourself.
Right.
Well, no, the point is not by yourself. But so tell us a little bit. You are single, and how does that look like? Because you're very successful, very successful. So how is it like? Is it hard for you to find the right guy, or like the kind of work you do? It's hard to have a relationship because you're always moving around. You're in different cities, different states, doing different things. So is that like hard on the relationship?
Yeah. So there's that element of, you know, of moving around a lot and following like my career. So I think it would be hard for maybe for anyone coming to the table with relationship because my, you know, everything is prioritized before another person. So my, like, I come first because, and that's something that I really had to learn as a mother, especially once I become an empty nester and my son moved out to him on his own, I realized like I got to take care of myself first.
Yes.
Because there's a reason that they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
That's right.
Anybody else, if you're, you know.
So true. So true.
The priority level is like me, my son, and our family, my career, and my like you know, my business, taking care of my business,
Yes.
and somebody else. And so it's really hard for people to accept that. And I'm not saying that it's fair, or I'm not saying that, you know, that is the right way to go about things.
Right. I'm following.
But that's how it stands right now. And I think perhaps the right person would maybe demonstrate a consistency and a support that would say like, hey, I belong on all those levels with you, like hand in hand with you. But as you know, like, you know, when you do the single mom thing for so long and you do the career thing alone for so long, you don't want to, if you've got your juggle rhythm, you don't want to hand someone else a plate because you might drop, like,
yes.
I don't know. I do have, I'll admit, I got some trust issues, and I'm not the type of person, like, I don't delegate well.
Wow.
I accept accountability for that. I don't delegate well. I'm just like, let me do it because I want it to be done the way I want it.
You know what? And no, this is, and I think it's that piece about being single and being a single mom, because I really had to work through that same issue when Torrance and I got married, because I'm used to doing things and I didn't know how to allow him to take the lead in some things. I'm like, okay, he was like, honey, why did you take out the garbage? I'm so used to taking out the garbage. He was like, well, let me do it, right? So just learning how to step back and let him lead in some things that I was just used to doing. Like, I'm not going to wait for somebody to do X, Y, and Z when, like, I'll just do it. But now I'm really just taking a breather and taking back so that he can lead in different ways. But it was hard. The first year of our marriage was like, I was so used to just doing things. Like, I would just walk out the house and leave and be like, oh, I'm going to the store, like, because I was so used to just doing and leaving and going and just having, you know, that partner that I had to just kind of like.
Well, how did you learn to let go? Is that just a trust, or like?
It's a process, and I'm still in my journey, right? But I'm so much better. I am so much better because when you're independent and self-sufficient and you've been doing the thing by yourself, and then your partner comes in, it just looks different. Like, I'm used to doing it. And then they want to, you know, Torrance wanted to partner with me, but I was so used to doing things on my own and not asking people to do things for me. I would just do things. And he was like, honey, I couldn't do that. Or like, honey, let me help in that. And I'm like, I'm so used to it. So a lot of times I had to just have conversations with him. And it's still a process because I'm just like, I'm so used to going. But then a lot of times he just know who I am now. And he's like, just let her do her thing. And just when she needs me, honey, hey, I'm here. If you need me, I'm here. Because it was hard. You know, being a single mom and being single for a long time, it was just, it's a process, sis.
You know what the scary part is? And this is a moment of vulnerability, and tell me if you can relate. The scary part is like you want to give, you want to hand those pieces over because you're tired and you want somebody else to do it, right? Or to pitch in. But then the scary thing is, but if it doesn't last or you go away and then I have to pick it all back up again, you know, will I be able to pick it all back up again because I let it go? It's like that. Will my muscles for that be weak? Will my endurance for that be weak?
And a lot of times it's even a little piece. I know for me, it was control.
Control. Yeah.
For me, that was one of the and that I'm still working through, like control. I like to, I think I like to be in control. And like, because I'm just so used to saying, oh, and then raising girls, and I'm a mom. So I was like, hey, I need you to do this. And they look at it as, oh, mom, you're being bossy and so controlling. But I'm like, hey, I just need you to do it and do it this way. And it'll be done the way I need it to be done. And then we're good. So for me, I'm still working through some of those issues, but I've gotten so much better, sis.
I guess it's the way you framed it. When people tell me I'm bossy, I'm like, that's because I'm the boss.
Exactly. I'm a boss, so I'm used to being bossy. All right, girl. I love it. But you know what?
Right. Yes, I'm the boss.
But you know what? Even with relationships, it's a process. And even after getting married, you still, you know, a lot of times I did a lot of work before I got married because I love being married. Like I am so much better. And I tell this to some of the girls that I mentor, I am better in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Just having my person, right? Because I think when I was single, I was just doing too much. I was, you know, it's just like dating. And like, I just felt like this is way too much. I am so glad I'm married in this season because like I heard like all the things are different. Dating looks different. Like it's online dating and like it's this kind of dating and swipe left and swipe right and I'm like, what? I know. So tell me, how is it different? Like dating is different now, right?
I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm not really out there like that. I abandoned all the dating apps, and then of course, you know, COVID is going on right now. So like, what? I mean, it's not like you're gonna go out and meet people organically. Right. Somebody at the grocery store, I've got a mask on my face. You know what I mean? So, but it's a hot garbage mess out here.
Yeah. You're right.
Say like it has been such an inspiration to see your guys' story unfolding over the past 2 years because it's almost like it was just meant to be and it flourished, and then to see how it all unfolded and the things that you guys have built together in such a short period of time, and it's just really inspiring to see.
And it's so, your guys. Sis, thank you. And you know what? I promise you, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because like God did this thing. It's totally a God thing. Because when Torrance and I met, I didn't like him. We went on a date. And I didn't like him, right? And a lot of people know the story. They have written like articles about our story because he didn't open my door. And so I didn't get out the car. And he was like, well, the door's unlocked. The door's open. I was like, I didn't get out. I was like, you're not going to open my door? And he's like, oh, no. If that's your request. I said, no, it's not a request. It's a requirement because I'm a lady. And I think that as a guy, you should open up my door. And he was like, oh my God, you one of those kind of women. Oh, like the date started off like not good. So at the end of the date, we ended up just saying, you know what? I had a good time. Let's just be friends, right? And so we stayed friends for a long time. Torrance and I were friends maybe 7 years before we even started dating.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
So Torrance started calling me and asking me when he was going on dates. He would call and say, "Hey, Queen, I'm going on a date. What should I wear? I'm going on a date. What should I?" And so I was like, "Okay, Torrance, remember to open the door. Remember, like to bring flowers, not red flowers." So I would give him dating tips. True story. True story. I would give him dating tips. And then it was just, I never knew, I never even my mind thought that I was like really preparing him for
To
me
date you.
to date me. Yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. This is crazy. And so now we still date. And he that was one of the things he said to me. We're not dating to marry. We're gonna marry and date. And so he still takes me out on dates. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm the event planner, so I'm used to planning weddings and events and parties. And he's so romantic. Like he blows things out of the water. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
How did you think of that, buddy? But yeah, so I taught that man really well. Thank you, Torrance Wilson.
Well, I'm sorry to take control of the situation. I'm not used to sitting in the other
I know.
side. I'm like interviewing you.
Exactly. Come on, let's go. This is what we do.
But for the people who, so a lot of people, especially because of social media, and so you only see the highlight reel, right? So a lot of people, such as myself, we'll see your guys' love story and we'll romanticize it, and we think in our minds like, oh, this is going to come along and it's going to work like that. But obviously, as you just told us, you essentially had been teaching him how to date you.
Yes.
7 years leading up to that moment.
Yes.
But I don't know. I feel like we don't work for things anymore in relationship like we used to, because as we're evolving as women and we're entering this space of more like self-worth and self-love and self-validation, and when we get to a space where we feel like we are not being valued and we're willing to divest immediately, then we're maybe perhaps not seeing things through that could perhaps bear fruit.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like it's hard to know what the right thing to do is, because as we look to the world around us, because I feel like that's the thing about sociology. It's a reflection of what's happening in society. So as we look to the world around us, we're feeling like, I don't have to stand for this. This is trash. You don't value me, so I'm out.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you something really quick. I need to get my charger for my computer. Here's something where we always make mistakes. Looking to social media and other relationships, because it's not the same.
Right.
You can't even say, well, I'm going to study one, like I'm going to study this guy or this relationship, because it's different. You have to do some work. There's going to be some accountability. There's some things that this man's going to like and appreciate that Joe Blow didn't like and didn't appreciate. So it's just pretty much, it's work. Marriage, relationships is work, and it's going to be different, but you cannot, under any circumstances, like look at somebody else's relationship, even though it's good. Like we have a really good relationship. Hold on. We have a really, like, that's my best, Torrance is my best friend. And I tell people, if you got to get out of bed to call your best friend, you married the wrong person. If you have to get out of bed, leave your husband to go call your best friend, you married the wrong person, because your husband should be, or your wife should be your best friend. That's just my opinion, my thoughts. And he's my bestie. Like we can talk about anything. And what's so unique, he knows a lot about my past, because I didn't think he was going to be my husband. So I told him a lot of my stuff anyway that I probably wouldn't have shared with him in the beginning. You know what I mean? But he already knew it. And so that's why we didn't date long. We got married 2 weeks after he asked me to date. I said no. I was like, my boy, like, no. And then
you made him open that door for you.
Yes, he did. And he still opens my door. He I mean, I need him to send me a love offering because I did really good. That he's still doing well. So I need him to send me a little something, something. And I'm gonna send my Cash App, honey, so you can go ahead and give me a little love offering for the good job I did training you. And
So,
he's still like that today.
but speaking specifically to that, okay. So the expectation was, hey, like you said, it's not a request, it's a requirement. I'm going to put that in my lexicon as like I love that. It's not a request, it's a requirement. But would you have said that to someone that you didn't know all that time? Like, was that the expectation because you knew that you had already told this man what your expectation was? Or like, should we feel like that always when we go on a date? Like,
Always.
respect is just the minimum.
Always. Always. And I think that a lot of times, with this whole independent movement, which I absolutely love, right? And I'm down with all women that are independent, making boss moves, doing things. But I think that we should allow a man to be a man.
Okay.
We need to know our space. We need to know our lane, and let them be a gentleman. And if you tell them what you want in the beginning, you won't have no issues in the end, right? And so even before, when I was dating another guy, like that was one of my like, I need you to open my door. I need you. This is what I like, right? This is what I like expect in a sense. And so then that way they either tell you in the beginning, hey, that's not me. I don't open doors. I'm out, whatever. But a lot of times, even with raising my girls, even though my girls saw me model that, my girls like, Mom, like they're not opening our doors, and we don't want them to open my door. I don't want him to open my door, because even when my oldest daughter Dominique started dating, I was like, Dominique, no, he needs to open the door for you. She's like, Mom, that's old school. They don't do that no more. We open our own doors, we write our own checks, we pay our own bills. And I'm like, oh, like, okay. So I just think that it's okay to be independent, but at the same time, let a man just woo you, be a gentleman, send you flowers, send little love notes. Like, I love that. That's just, I'm almost 50. So I guess I'm from that era that I saw all that modeled. And so I love it. I love like writing little love notes. And then when your man wake up, you got a love note in the bathroom, like, babe, just have a good day, whatever the case is, or even in the car door. Sometimes, just drive up to his job, leave him, instructions for later.
Ooh. See, I've never
spice it up,
but I know that I want it.
Yes.
Like I've never seen that. I've never had that, but I know that I want it. But I don't know. I figure it out.
But all the people. Like, Corinna, I see you with, I just saw you with D Nice.
I'm like, where are they at?
All the people. Everybody. And people that is just kind of like famous people. You interview a lot of famous people. You high profile people. And so, and I assume in that arena, like, wow, somebody in that setting is single, or somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who would hook you up. But then when you know who you are and you're not settling for less, even though they are high profile, even though they have it going on, essentially whatever, when you know who you are, you don't settle for less. And I know some people who say people who they're jerks. Yeah. Or they too cocky, and they expect you to kind of like cater to them, and so it's no catering to the female. So
I don't know. I just like I ask myself constantly, why doesn't Drake want me? And I think that it's that because I'm bad built like SpongeBob.
You are silly. So what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Because that's just who you are, and like God has got you down this path where you're meeting a lot of people. Somebody what would happen if you would meet Drake? Like, if you would walk into your studio, girl, what would you do?
Okay, so let me share this with you. I'm actually very shy.
Who you? I know. You know what? I was gonna say that can't even be true, but I know it's true because people don't believe that I'm shy too.
I get bad. Well, not shy, bashful. I'm bashful.
That's the better word. Okay.
And so, like, you have to think about it. So I've been on the radio for 20, radio on TV for 20 years, but you're essentially talking to yourself. For 20 years. I do my thing when I go out and like work a room or host parties or things like that when the world was still open.
Yeah, when the world was
BC, before Corona. But when it comes to men, I get very bashful.
Really?
So,
do you think that do you think men they are intimidated by you?
Here's the thing.
I love this.
If he's intimidated by me, he's not the one. Because I need somebody that's strong. Like, because I know I'm strong. I'm very strong. So he cannot be intimidated by my strength. So if you're too intimidated, just keep it pushing, because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want you to waste your time. Time is the most valuable thing on this earth. Money, like material things, you can get that back. Time, you can never get back.
You can never get.
Waste my time. I won't waste yours. If you're intimidated by me, I'm not going to dim my light to make you comfortable.
Come on. I think that's what you said something earlier, and I think now I'm going to answer the question you asked me. That's why I am able to be who I am, because my man allows me to be who I am. He doesn't like try to dim my light. He's kind of like, baby, like, let me polish you right here. I want you to shine. And it makes who I am and what I desire or want to do, or my passions, it happens because he's not trying to dim my light, right? And so that's good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I mean, I have some friends that the moment they start getting a little, climbing the ladder and doing things and pursuing what God has called them to do, or just what they want to do, their partner or whatever is just like, oh, I don't know, like, this too much, you doing this, and it kind of like makes them fall back of being, who they are and walking into their greatness. So it's very important that you have a man, and I'm speaking this for myself because it's true, that will encourage you.
Oh yeah. So one of my my rituals in the morning is I go to my prayer journal every morning, and I set my timer so that I spend 5 minutes in gratitude, and I do
love it.
So for me, like, poetry and the written word is my prayer language. And so the reason that I like to write it out is because I'm doing it, I'm seeing it, and then I read it like I'm reading it back to myself. So I'm doing it, yes. I'm seeing it, I'm saying it, and I hear myself say it. So I say all the things that I'm grateful for, and then I always and I stay there, and then when the timer goes off, and then I have my request is always that I operate in my highest potential for God's purpose for my life. And so I just want to make sure that I'm operating.
Come on.
Like, I want my light to shine the best way in whatever God's purpose is for me.
I love that. I love it.
And so, like, my thought on that when it comes to relationship, I often think of my nanny, my godmother. So my mother died when I was very young, and I have a godmother, and then her mother is still involved in our lives, and she always tells me, she's like, let your light shine, let your light shine. She met one of the love of her lives and got married like at this stage in her life.
Wow.
And like, it was just so inspirational to me that that you could still, it reminded me that you could find love anywhere on this journey. And,
yes.
and I find love all the time, and it's not always romantic love.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always romantic love. Sometimes it's just relational love. Sometimes it's professional love. Sometimes it's like, sometimes you just like have a moment of love at a grocery store with somebody and they're very kind to you.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh wow, that was just like, I felt that. It was just a love bomb, stranger. and sometimes you could just end up having a conversation like this one, and you're just filled with love. And so I've been single for 8 years now, but I'm not lonely, and
I
I'm
love
not
it.
lacking love.
I love it.
You know, I'm just going to continue to stay in my light and do, you know, what feels right every day. And I'm not saying it's not always like, I'm not always right.
Well, well, one thing I'm so happy that we having this conversation, because I remember when I was single, like Valentine's Day, I hated Valentine's Day, and so before I would go into like the grocery stores, and they have all these bears and all this candy, and I was just like, oh, I just want to knock all this candy down. Like I did not. It just did something to me because it brought up some emotions that I didn't want to deal with, because I love being in love. I'm such a romantic person, to my core, and so when I was single, I felt like I was lacking something, and
The
so
not enough. The not enough.
I felt like what, and then I'm like at the age, and I'm like, I'm 40, I was 40 something at the time. And I'm thinking, oh my God, everybody's gonna just be having romantic dinner and I'm gonna be home alone. I was that chick. I was that chick that would like want to knock all the bears down. And then I would go home and watch love movies, watch Hallmark movies and all that, and cry. I'll watch Pretty Woman and cry. And I was like, and then one year, I'm serious, literally, like legit. It happened. So I was like, you know what? You have to learn how to love you, girl, with or without a man. Point blank, period. And that's when I started my process of healing. Because I noticed that there was like, why am I so mad? Because other people are in love. Why am I so mad? Because he holding her hand. Like I was that chick.
Yeah.
Until I realized, like, okay, Alicia, it's not because it's Valentine's Day. It's not because some guy is holding some female's hand walking down the street no, like you have an issue. And so I had to do the work. And it was only because I was still hurt. So when you said that even though you're alone, you're not lonely. You're not lonely. And when you know who you are, that makes a difference. And so I'm glad you brought that up. So I have a fun fact about you. You also paint. Like you an amazing, like what don't you do? Like you do all the things. And so I saw, well, you actually did a painting for us, for Torrance and I. And so when I was, I see your page and you've been doing some, like, where did that come from? Did you always just paint, or did you go to art school, or where did it come from?
I've always been painting. I think I remember being very young. I used to have, do you guys remember the Oshkosh Bagosh?
Yes.
The overalls and the Oshkosh Bagosh?
Yes.
Like put my little 8-pack crayons right in the front.
Uh-huh.
I've always leaned into art, and then and I did take art in college, but it's more so just been like, my own individual expressions, which I always get very, like, I'm so moved and touched when other people actually like them, because that, like, going back to that not enough, or like feeling like you're not enough, I always feel like that when it comes to my art. I guess like I'm very insecure about my art, because I feel like I don't have a lot of formal education in that area, and I just do whatever I feel, whatever I see, And so when people are drawn to it, it really, like, I feel really touched and really blessed. And so I just very similar to the poetry. Like, I write what I know, and I paint what I see or what I feel, however I feel it. And so, and then I just try to find the courage to put it out there.
Now, how can those who are watching, how can we find your art? How can we find your books? Can you share with us your web page?
Yeah. So my website is just my name, CorinnaDelgado.com. And so I just recently started my podcast, which is a composite. It's a composite of the show that I do here in DC. But I realize like there's so many folks out there, you know, in Alaska and Houston and stuff, and they're like, especially for my peoples in Alaska, whom I adore. They're like, chick, I ain't getting, you know, because it's a 4-hour difference. Ain't nobody getting up at 2 a.m. to listen to the show.
Okay. I love it. That's right. You are from Alaska. Oh man, I love Alaska. I enjoy the fish is
Yes. Oh my gosh. So so I have my podcast on there. I have my art, my books, all that kind of stuff. And it's just CorinnaDelgado.com. And then of course all my social medias are at Corinna Delgado as well. So I'm available.
okay. So whoever's watching and you know Drake, I need you to contact Drake and tag my girl into the get it. Work it, queen. Yes. And so I definitely want you. I know that you're a busy queen, and I know you have a lot going on. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy. I salute you, my sister. And I want to have you back on. So once you start dating, I'm gonna have Torrance on, and we're gonna talk about dating and all that good stuff. I love talking about relationships, right? I love it. That's what Torrance and I do all the time, relationships, and mentor people in that. Not because we are perfect and have it all together and like have a degree in it. It's because we try to educate them and give them just different scenarios and just different perspective on relationships, life, and just things we endured and had to work things out, because you always working things out, honey.
Always.
So I tell women, don't think you're going to get married and just gonna be like, okay, now I'm married, I can have legal, godly sex. No, it's more work. More work happening.
Ever after.
I'm telling you, it's work. It's work, but you have to do the work. You have to do the work, and it's all worth it. So I wanted to say thank you. I am gonna definitely have you back on. Keep doing your thing. Keep shining. You shining bright. You're making a difference, and we see you, my dear.
All right. So much love to you. Thank you for the conversation today. Thank you for loving me. I appreciate all that love.
I love you. I love you, sis. So I'll be in contact. Oh, and one more thing. When is your son next fight? So we can watch it.
Please include him in your prayers. Pray that his hands are swift, his mind is agile, and he has favor with the referees.
Amen. Got it. On it. All right. We're going to be watching. All right. Till next time, sis. I love you.
I love you too.
God bless you, darling. Okay. Bye-bye.